Good afternoon. We're looking at ratios and proportions. We're going to do a real quick review over ratios. Then we'll get into proportions. So a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. And remember when it's written in words that the word order is important. Which ratio shows the ratio of 2 fish to 3 bears? Pause the video, take a second, see what you get. The answer is A. Our next question. Which ratio shows the ratio of 1 soccer ball to 3 basketballs? That should be an S. It's a good thing I don't teach English. So if we're looking at the pictures, we're finding 1 soccer ball to 3 basketballs. The answer should be D. Again, last one, pause your video and see if you can figure out which ratio shows the ratio of 3 butterflies to 1 apple. Fortunately, the answer is not E because you can't see the apple. So B is the answer. It gives 3 butterflies to 1 apple. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the screen because it seems to be covering things up that you're going to need. So, if we look at the ratios, there are 3 ways to write them. If we look at 3 boys and 5 girls, we can write 3, 2, T-O, 5. Or we can write 3 colon 5. The 2 dots is called a colon, 3 colon 5. But the most common way we're going to see them and use ratios is when they look like a fraction, 3 over 5. For the most part, they can be used almost exactly like fractions. Equal ratios. Equal ratios, again, like equivalent fractions. They name the same value. You guys have done really well when we've had equivalent fractions on warm-ups. You seem to get it. That's a good thing. It's going to help you a lot with ratios and proportions. So examples of equal ratios. 3/5 equals 6/10. We know that 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10. We know that 3 times 25 is 75, and 4 times 25 is 100. So those are equal or equivalent ratios. Now into proportions. A proportion is when you have 2 ratios that are equal to each other. So 2 equal ratios form a proportion. In a proportion, when the ratios are cross-multiplied, the cross products are equal. If they are not equal, the ratios are not proportional. I'm fixing to see some examples. So, if we look at 3/5 and 6/10, we are deciding whether they are proportional or not. 10 times 3 is 30. 5 times 6 is 30. The cross products, which is the 30s, are equal, so they are proportional. Then if we look at 1/6 and 2/3, 3 times 1 is 3, 6 times 2 is 12. Our cross products are not equal, so these are not proportions. This is not a proportion. They are not proportional. I want you to take a minute, pause the video, and try these on your own. Use cross products, use the butterfly method, to determine whether or not these 2 sets of ratios are proportional or not. And here are your answers. 36 times 5 is 180. 3 times 60 is 180. So 180 equals 180. It is a proportion. This side, the right side. 15 times 4 is 60. 8 times 8 is 64. 60 is not equal to 24, so it is not a proportion. Proportions can be used to find unit rates. I'm going to have you review on your own real quick. What is a rate and what is a unit rate? If you don't know it off the top of your head yet, the answer is in your ratios, rates, and unit rate notes. So go ahead and flip through your notebook and check that out so you have an idea of what we're talking about. Now, we're going to use a proportion to find a unit rate. We're going to cross multiply, we're going to create an equation. So before we get started, we are going to set up our proportion. Always make sure that you label. We have miles and hours. 300 miles in 6 hours. Okay, that's what it should look like. What we need to know is the number of hours, or the number of miles for 1 hour. That's a unit rate. When the denominator is 1, it's a unit rate. So we can set this up as 300 over 6 equals x over 1. So we cross multiply, and we get 1 times 300 is 300. 6 times x is 6x. We can bring those down and bring down our equal sign to give us a one-step equation, which we can all solve. To get x by itself, we divide by 6. So x equals, we divide by 6. So x is going to equal 50. If you drive 300 miles in 6 hours, you are driving at a rate of 50 miles per hour. Okay? So moving on to the next one. The unit rate is 50 miles to 1 hour. Moving on. Cody makes $225 in 9 hours. Use a proportion to find how much he makes in each hour. Cross multiply and create a one-step equation. Okay, again, money over hours. Money will usually be on top. Not always, but it will usually be on top. And that's kind of a good key if you're stuck on how to set it up. $225 over 9 hours equals an unknown amount of money for 1 hour. So we're going to, again, cross multiply. 1 times 225 is 225. 9 times x is 9x. If we bring those down, we create a one-step equation, and we divide by g. Oh, wait, no, I mean 9. So one good argument about not using g as a variable looks like a 9, or vice versa. 225 divided by 9 is 25, so 25 equals x. The unit rate is $25 each hour, or per hour, or for every hour. Any of those phrases will work. Pink shirts are available or on sale for 3 for $12. Use a proportion to find out how many shirts Caitlin can buy if she has $48. Cross multiply and create a one-step equation. This is a little bit different kind of proportion. We're not finding a unit rate on this one. But if we set up our first proportion, we should put shirts, or money over shirts. Okay? So we have $12 over 3 shirts, because it's 3 for 12. If she has $48, we want to know how many shirts that's going to buy her. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply. We get x times 12 is 12x. 3 times 48 is 144. So if we bring those down, we get the one-step equation of 144 equals 12x. So to get x by itself, we divide by 12. 12 equals x. Caitlin can buy 12 shirts for $48. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Okay, y'all have a good afternoon or good evening.